Welcome back to the Why Create podcast. Today we have an exciting episode and I cannot wait to get into it. We have topics ranging from doing music in church to Snoop Dogg. Today I am speaking to
Earl Hondo. I am an artist, an audio engineer. I'm from Georgia and I live in LA right now.
Welcome to the podcast and thank you so much for joining. What is your preferred genre to create?
I mean, it's definitely hip hop, R&B centered. In a lot of ways, it's also, I guess, a little gospel centered too. I grew up from the church and stuff, so a lot of the stuff that you hear in terms of like background vocals or sometimes certain melodies, whatever, a lot of that comes from the church.
Okay, great. Yeah, I've listened to some of your songs and I can definitely sense that vibe. What is the most rewarding thing that you have experienced because of what you do?
I just got a box from my middle school that had it was this little flip book that they had made me. And it was just like, thanks for teaching us. Thanks for, presenting. What I basically, I had a presentation that I gave to my middle school, like the middle school I went to probably like maybe 2, 3 months ago. That whole day I was just on Zoom and telling people what I was doing and stuff. So that was really cool.
Wow, that's awesome. So they obviously had a lot of fun listening to you talk about music.
I think so. There was one guy in the classroom was like, he had wrote in the thing. He was like, "Thanks for making a boring class interesting today." Like, okay, well, cool. I'm glad I could do that for
Yeah.
you. Yeah, that's definitely really important to me. Just kind of helping along the next generation because a lot of the music that I make is mainly it's depicting my pitfalls and all of the things that I do. I don't consider myself a perfect person, but if I'm able to like impart some type of, information to another set of humans, what I mean, that can learn from that or at least pick apart it and see what works best for them. Like that's really what makes it like, okay, we're really doing something, like it
Yeah.
makes it worthwhile.
A lot of kids really do need the guidance nowadays. I'm not that old, but I can see how the upcoming generations compared to my generation have been exposed to so much more at a young age, and really they do need that counsel. I love that you are providing that for them. How and when did you get started in creating music? Like, what was that moment that you said, oh, this is something that I really want to do?
Um, Strangely enough, I attribute it to a couple things. So there was a cartoon back in the day. Well, of course, first and foremost, it was the church. Like I started singing in choir and all of that. But in terms of like making music, uh, I it was like this little game that Cartoon Network had for like class of 3000, and I just started falling in love with like the sequencing of all of the stuff, and that game like really made me like more interested in like sequencing music and sequencing beats and stuff like that. So I ended up getting like a tablet for Christmas, I think in like 2013, 2014. And I found a app that was like a little beat sequencer and kept going from there, and then ended up there was this guy by the name of Ronnie Jackson who technically I guess is just fresh. At the time he was just fresh from working with like Justin Bieber and but he worked with a
Yeah.
lot of big artists and stuff from back in the day like Bow Wow and all them peoples. But he had come to my school. He come to my high school for like a career fair. Just like, hey bro, like, do you mind listening to some of my beats that I made off of this tablet? And he was just like, yeah, cool. And then we ended up kind of developing a mentorship from that.
Oh, wow. That's really cool.
Yeah, yeah, very, 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 very. I'm sure a lot of people have had some similar stories like that, but yeah, that's kind of how it came to be.
That's so cool that you were able to share your work with him. And obviously he liked it because he actually sat down and worked with you.
Yeah, no, I mean it was. Yeah, he was at the time he was trying to set up he was trying to get placement for like the James Brown movie, and I had made some kind of beat that was like a James Brown sample and something, and that just kind of sparked his ear and was like, "Hey, if you could send me the stems for it." And I didn't know, I have no idea what even stems were at the time, but I was just like, okay, cool, yeah, I can try to get them to you. So it's really dope, yeah, for sure.
So, what drives you to keep creating when no one is listening? For me, I write a lot of songs, but at this point, I'm not really releasing anything because I don't have anything produced. But the stuff I do have out really never get any listens. So for me, I just keep writing because I love to do it. But I'm posing the question to you, why do you create when no one pays attention?
Mm, that's a good one. Personally, I don't. I create for my friends, but a lot of times, and as more recent, it's become more apparent that I'm really making a lot of stuff for me from jump. Like even like beats and stuff. Like you gotta understand. Like I said, the first beat I made was in high school. So from this time to from that time to now, I could probably count on maybe 5, 10 fingers, how many beats, like full on beats that I fully tracked out, fully produced, and then sent over to somebody else. I can probably count on one or one or two hands, how many that actually come out as is for that person. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Part of that is just solely because like I don't really trust a lot of people to make a great song in terms of my network right now, or especially back then. It's more of like when I get in the room and produce with other people, then that's definitely for other people. You know what I mean? That's within consideration of other folk in mind. When it comes to me, it's very much so a therapeutic process, to really get out or interpret my story in the best way possible. As much as I take and have taken the time to try to, learn every word in the damn book, in the damn book, whatever
Mm-hmm.
book, so call it, the dictionary, the Bible, whatever, like, there's still a level of like disconnect that happens, especially for me, in terms of communicating myself within out, throughout the world. So I find it more potent to really communicate and express myself through music. So it's always really a me thing. So I'm never really gonna like stop doing that. Just as much as like you say, like, you'll write for people and stuff like, well, you're right, but you won't really put it out like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's something that you do. It's something innate within you. It's a process to communicate and relate to the world. So
Exactly. That's a very neat perspective.
I appreciate that.
So, what would be the thing that you are most proud of?
I think growing up, I really didn't take into consideration like the the concept of pride or being proud. My parents were very adamant about recognizing like where my help comes from, I guess you can say. So in a lot of ways, like I don't necessarily look at anything as like being the most proud of. I would say that there are things that bring me joy to the most, in terms of I guess what I've done. But I don't know, to be honest with you. As much as I have I've gotten a few degrees, but those degrees, as much as they are amazing, I don't necessarily find the most joy in the world for having graduated. I find that it's all a stepping stone. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I can't really tell you. I guess waking up today was the thing I'm most happy for, because no guarantees you can do that every day.
It's funny to hear you say that because my dad says that all the time. If you don't mind me asking, what are some of the degrees that you have?
I have a bachelor's in business administration, from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in Daytona, and then I have a master's in music technology, from NYU. You can get 50,000 different degrees in the music industry, and you don't have a hit. Like, don't nobody give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? It's a different situation. So for me, it's like I find myself, obviously it's something that I did, and I am very like blessed to have been able to do it. But I think especially for me now, like I just really go through life in a way that like an achievement doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good thing. Like I could get $1 million tomorrow, and because I get $1 million tomorrow, somebody robs me the day before and takes more money than I had the day before. So is it really good that I got that million? You know what I mean? Like all that kind of stuff. So I just kind of look at life as it's like, okay, well, this is something that happened that I think it's an achievement for sure. But there's a lot of other things that during that process that I feel like are probably even more of a that I would take more pride in, if I did do that.
Who are some of your biggest music influences? Right away for me, I right away for me, I can say Phineas, Billie Eilish's brother, is amazing. I love his production on her songs and all the work that he's done with his own stuff. So I really look up to him, but who do you look up to and why?
I mean, I'm kind of old school. I think I think Stevie Wonder is probably one of the greatest musical minds that I think has ever touched the earth. I think Quincy Jones is one of the most amazing producers that's ever walked the earth. I don't know them as people though, keep in mind. So I would also put Kanye in there as crazy as he is. D'Angelo is a savant. Erica Badu, Andre 3000, Big Boy. Yeah, folk like that for sure. Newcomers would probably be Kendrick, Isaiah Rashad. I'm really starting to appreciate Playboy Cardi and like his world building that he does. Tyler the Creator, Frank Ocean, a lot of folk. It's just so many folk. I couldn't even. Dizzy Gillespie in jazz. I think I love. I don't know if you ever heard of Xenakis.
I've never heard.
Xenakis is like just weird, like literally as weird as you could get in terms of like music. But like there's a faction of folk where like when I went to school that they exposed me to that were genuinely just taking the most avant-garde of avant-garde directions with music, and some of those things just kind of like they imprint on you in such a way that just kind of makes you like, oh well, none of this is really like there's no like standard. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
everything that you do within music, everything you do within a recording can be considered to a degree some type of music if you have it as organized sound. You know,
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff is what really makes an Outcast or a Diana Ross or a Marvin Gaye become iconic, just because they're able to recognize the beauty within the chaos of noise. John Cage, that's definitely another one like that. Dude has a whole song where it's just silence. I think it's like 430, 431 or some shit. I can't remember.
I remember earlier you saying that the songs you write for yourself and you draw from past experiences. Are there any past experiences that you're willing to share? Like, not something deeply personal, but just anything that you feel inclined to share.
I even say in the vibe, a lot of times when I write, a lot of times when I make songs, I'll put experiences of my own or indirect experiences that I've witnessed from family members and stuff like that. And one of the first lines I'll say uh, is it's like came with a crew of a shade and a hue, getting whipped with a vacuum cable. And that's that's more so talking about like the experience that a lot of black kids go through, still go through, about with corporal punishment and you know and as much as like spanking, spare the child, spare the child, spare the, or what's it called, spare the rod, spare the child, like
Mm-hmm.
to some degree obviously that can easily dip into some level of domestic abuse, if that individual or that parent decides to use that form of punishment too excessively, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't say that my parents were like that per se, but uh definitely having to have those conversations later on in life with them to recognize like what were the things that really charged them to feel like corporal punishment was the only way that made sense, to rear their kids or stuff like that. Like that definitely was something that came about. Like my mom hit me up and she was like, I ain't never hit you with no with no vacuum cable. I was like, okay. Then she and to her credit, she never hit me with that.
Mm.
But it's it don't really matter what the cable, if it was a cable on the vacuum or a spoon or one time it was a toy. Like it just depends on what's in your hand, at the time. So speaking to that kind of stuff, definitely does ruffle some feathers sometimes. Even I'll even say cussing because both my parents are ministers. So as much as what's it called? Like I come from like a church upbringing. A lot of my cousins and stuff are deep rooted in Memphis. So a lot of like that. I guess I wouldn't call it. It's not even close enough to call it hood adjacent. But some of those experiences that I've had are definitely things that make me relate more to my family members and some of my friends that have probably a little bit more of a rockier upbringing than I did.
Are you where you want to be in music, or is there a higher goal?
I mean, that's it. Yeah, that's an interesting question. In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. Like I've been blessed to, engineer for Snoop Dogg. You know what I mean? I've been able to
Wow.
engineer for Sir. I assisted Playboy Cardi one time. Me and Ken Carson will just in a room will just be like, "Hey, what's up? How you doing, man? What's going on with you, bro?" Like, "Oh, yes, you from ATL? I'm from ATL too." Da, da, da. You just chop it up with any and whoever. Glorilla used to talk about my shoes. When she came to the studio. So it's like shit like that where it's like having those experiences, especially by because I'm in LA. I've been in LA for the last 2 years, so it's been a crazy journey. And I'm obviously like if I died today, I could say that I lived in a way that pleases, that I would like to think pleases God within my purpose for my life.
Mm.
But of course, like every day that I'm given extra means that I have just a little bit more in this journey to walk. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
that's kind of the the joy of it, like I said. So taking the good and the bad of it all is really all I can really say on that. Like I want more as a person, you know what I mean?
Mm.
Stability, you know, like just a general, overall happiness within how I see my music and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, part of the reason why I make music is solely because there is a disconnect with, I think, every human in terms of like how they compare their life, to everything else. So I don't know if I'll ever get to a point where I can genuinely be like, I'm good.
Mm.
But yeah, like I said, like if I had to stop making music all today, like I think I think I put out a pretty fair outing.
So, what do you hope your listeners get out of your music? Like, is there a specific message that you write about that you would like them to take with them once they listen to a song?
A level of authenticity, I would
Mm.
say. I think we get so much, even if it's a storytelling, which a lot of times for me it can be that. A lot of times I might write a love song and that song could be about five different women from five different points in my life. But at least in terms of the authenticity that comes from how I deliver the song, perform the song, write the song, make the song, in terms of the beat, whatever, whatever. Like there's a level of like genuine love that comes out in every song. And sometimes that love is interpreted through hate, you know?
Mm.
Like sometimes that love can be interpreted through other things, but it's solely because it's a part of the human experience rather than it being something out of malice intent. So yeah, definitely authenticity. That all encompasses all of the emotions I go through. I may I might be the person that someone looks to for genuine advice, but that don't mean that I got it all together, you know?
Mm.
And I want to present the times when I don't have it all together just as much when I think that I do. Because a lot of times when I think I do, that's when I don't. Or the times when I think I don't, I may actually have something a little more novel. You know, it happens. It happens all the time. So,
And lastly, is there an upcoming project that you would like to point listeners to?
yeah. I mean, we got a lot of stuff coming up. So we have pretty much an exception, I think, for July. We have a single coming out every month. And for July, we got a couple remixes to the next song that we about to put out that'll take up that space. So we're pretty busy for the whole year in terms of singles. We do have a project that we're gonna try to do it just kind of do it from the bootstrap type situation where, just from the ground up, trying to get the funding to really promote and produce the visuals the way we need. Right now we just, because we're independent, like, and I say we as in like me and my manager as a team and all that kind of stuff, and the videographer and everybody, like we're all doing this kind of stuff in terms of a passion project. We all got, either 9 to 5s or in my case 24/7 in terms of the engineering. So yeah, so we're really just trying to do that, and we'll have a way for y'all to really listen to this next project that we putting out with this producer named Amara from the Netherlands. Really dope.
Going back to the Snoop Dogg song you said you worked on, is it cool for you to share the name of the song?
Like I said, I recorded him.
You
So
recorded, okay.
I didn't record a song. He came in for he had just finished up the Missionary album, and he was doing radio drops at the studio.
Okay.
And so it's just me, Snoop Dogg, this other engineer that I had helped. I ended up training him, and we gave him the engineering job for that day. And I'm just sitting in, just kind of like having him go through the whole recording process and his team around him, all that kind of stuff. So we just kind of chopping it up while Snoop is just smoking and chilling and having a good time. So yeah, that was really cool. Yeah, that's one of my favorite moments. It's not like something that I genuinely like put my hand on in terms of a song, but yeah, like I said, I'm authentic. I'm not trying to like put airs on that situation. But for me, that was one of my favorites.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. This was so much fun, and I know that this is going to be a great episode. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you, David.
Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon, man.
That was Earl Hondo, everyone. Make sure to go check out his website, earlhondo.com, and he has a new release coming out on Wednesday, May 28th, called Wham. So definitely go follow him on Spotify under Earl Hondo and check out his music. It's really good. Here is Deja Vu by Earl Hondo. Take a listen.
Brown skin and brown eyes, soft lips, but do I recall this? So yeah, did I see you in a past life? Or a dream, see my soul's got a need to be whole, and it feels like something I've been needing, but I've been here before. Just cause it's new to you don't mean it ain't you. Where have I seen this before? Where have I felt this before? Call me crazy, but I don't know when I seen deja vu. Where have I seen this before? Where have I felt this before? Call me crazy, but I don't know when I seen deja vu. Stop trying to make it look easy. Oh, you know it ain't easy. Yeah. If it were easy to love, no one be crucified, then I have no savior to lie to. Said I won't do it again, but I did it again. Said I won't do it again, but I did it again. Why do we love just to get a heart broken and end up lonely in the end? kinda seen deja vu. Where have I seen this before? Where have I felt this before? Call me crazy, but I don't know when I've seen deja vu.
Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. I had so much fun talking to Hondo, and I'm definitely going to be streaming that new song when it comes out. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider dropping a follow, liking this episode, and maybe even sharing it with a friend. Until next time, this is the Why I Create podcast, and I am your host, David Hay.